Hi everybody and welcome to a new video in Power Query. In this video, we'll normalize our dataset to reduce redundancy and we'll learn how to merge two queries. First, why we need to reduce data redundancy or data repetition? Simply because when data is redundant, it means that more resources are consumed, and which means that more processing time is needed for example, creating reports, and this will affect the efficiency of the reports. That's why it is very important to reduce redundancy and data repetition. For example, this dataset. This is the sample dataset for sales in Superstore, a well-known hypermarket in North America. If we have a deep look at this data, we will notice that we have 3 columns for customer details: customer ID, customer name, and segment, which means that for every single order, all of these details will be repeated for this same customer. We have around 10,000 orders, which means if, for example, we have 1,000 for a single customer, all of the details of this customer will be repeated 1,000 of times. We have the same issue here for the region. We have 5 columns for region, starting from country to region, which means the same. For every single order, every single detail for the region will be repeated as many orders made for this region. All of these are consuming resources. Also, the products, all of these repeated data will be repeated for every order, which means more resources will be consumed, slower processing, and less efficient reports. Simply, you can separate tables for every category of detail. We can keep here the customer ID, and we can separate all other customer data in a separate table. And by creating a simple link or a simple join, we can simply know what detail of this customer ID. We can also separate the region details, all of these 5 columns, in a different table and keep, say, a single column that represents every block of the region, and the same for the product. I know we can do that manually, but it will take more effort, more steps, and more formulas, and for sure more time. But in Power Query, we can do this simply and quickly. This separation of tables to reduce data redundancy is called normalizing data set. To do that, we will go to data. As we have our data set here in the same file, I will click from table or range. And here is my data, all of the rows. My table has headers. This will take me to the Power Query editor. And from here, we can do all the work. Here I have my table is called table 1. Let me rename it orders. It is very important to have descriptive names for every object. First, I want to separate the customer data in a separate table. Right click on my table and then duplicate. This copy will have the customer data. So I will rename it with customers. In this customer data table, I need to keep only customer detail. Select the 3 columns of the customer detail. From remove columns, remove other columns. Now I have only these 3 columns. I still have a problem, which is I still have all the customers are repeated. If you look here, for every order. From remove rows, I will remove duplicates to make sure that every customer has a unique record in this table. And by using the customer ID, I will refer to the customer ID in the orders to know for this customer ID, what is the customer name and what is its segment. I will go back to orders and then I will remove the customer data except the ID. I will keep only the ID. Remove columns to remove the selected column. And now I saved a lot of data. In the customer data, I have the data of the customer without repetition. And here I have only the customer ID, which is repeated. And simply by creating a join or connection, I can see which detail is for this specific customer ID. I will do the same for the country. Create a copy, duplicate the orders table, the main table, rename it as a region. I need to keep only the region data. I have 5 columns. Select the first, shift and select the last one. Remove columns, remove other columns. I need to keep only these, and I need to remove the repetition. So I will select Then from remove rows, remove duplicates. I have the data as unique value. What I mean is the whole block is unique. You may have the same country, but for different state. You may have the same state, but for different postal code and region. The whole record as a block is unique. To make more reduction in the data redundancy, for example, you can separate the country in a table and use its code, the city and the state. All of this can be separated. So you will use their codes instead of their names. And now I have to go back to the orders to remove all of these columns because I have them here as unique block in this table. But here we have a critical problem, a critical issue, which is in the case of the customer, I have the customer ID that will allow me to refer to the other customer data. But here I don't have anything to refer to the region. If I remove everything from order, so I couldn't know this order for which region. For example, if I use the postal code as a reference, I'm not sure that the postal code want to be repeated. I may have a repetition of the postal code which lead to inaccurate data. In this case, I will need to add an extra column to code or to uniquely identify every block, a unique identifier. To do that, from this icon, click here, and then add index column. This will add a unique identifier for each row. And here you can choose from which number you need to start the count. I want to start from 1. And now I have an index that uniquely identify every single row, every single block of region. I need to rename it region code, and I need to move it to the beginning. Right click, move to the beginning. Now I need to take this region code in the orders. So for each code, I will make connection to the code in the order, and that will let me know this code for which region, for which block, for which row in the country or in the region table. I need to take this code into the orders before removing all the other region data. This will be done by using merge queries. I need to add a column to another query, so I can do that by merge queries. I have to select the main table, which is orders. And then from here, merge queries, you can see two options. Merge queries will add more columns from another table to the current table, or merge queries as new. This will add all the columns of the two tables or the queries all together and will create a new query that will be here as a fourth query. But this is not my need. I don't need to do that. I just need to grab the ID to the order. So I will merge queries to merge it in place in this table. Here it senses the orders as the main table. I want to merge it with the region. And to merge them, I need to match to see which data matches which data in each table. I need to match here all the region detail. So starting from the country, hold shift and select region. I need to match all of these 5 columns with all of these 5 columns. And that's because, for example, if I match only the country, it means that I may get different postal code or different state, and that's what I don't need. I need to know the whole location, the specific location, so I have to match the whole block. The join kind, we will learn more about joins later. Use the default option, and then okay, the merge is done. But it seems weird because I can clearly see that there is a new column called region 1, which means that it comes from the region in the orders, but it's weird. It has a weird icon and weird detail. Table, where is the data? If you click on any of these tables, you will see its detail here. If I click here, for example, you can see another detail, but this is not what I actually need. I need to put the ID column here with a clear ID. This icon means that there's a collapse of many columns here in the form of a table. And if I click here, I will expand it. You can deselect all columns and choose only region code, and then okay. And now I have the region code for every order. And by knowing this code, I can simply know which country, state, city, postal code, and region for this detail. To organize my data, I want to grab this column beside the region. I will drop it here. Now I have the region code. I just want to rename it. And that code will refer to a specific block of region. That means that I don't need all of these 5 columns anymore in this data set. Remove columns. And now I get rid of redundancy, and I used only quotes to refer to the other data, and I separated the main details of these codes into separated queries. And now it's your turn and your homework. We have the same issue in the product ID, category, subcategory, and the product name. I need you to separate the product detail in a new table and keep only the product ID. That's all for today, guys. I hope it was simple and clear. See you next video.